Hello students, welcome to our new lecture in the series of CPU scheduling algorithms. Now, what we have done so far, we had picked the first come first serve algorithm. First serve algorithm says that the process which comes first will get executed first. So we had completed it and we had picked that what is advantage of this algorithm? The advantage of this algorithm is that it is very simple algorithm. And what is disadvantage? Disadvantage is that if heavy process with respect to bus time comes first, then uh, that process will get chance for execution first. Hence, waiting time get increased. So we moved into the second one, that is shortest job first. In shortest job first, we had picked both varieties, that is non-preemptive and preemptive version. Shortest job first is the process which arrived or at the time of arrival. If multiple processes are arriving, the process which is having smaller bus time, that will get chance for the execution first. In this, we have also picked that there are two ways processes can be executed. One is non-preemptive. Non-preemptive version says that uh, if you are having, if certain process arrived at the middle of any process which is currently executing, and if current process which arrived is having smaller bus time, then what action need to be taken, that is with respect to preemption and non-preemption. Non-preemption says that you will not take any action and the process which started its execution will complete first. Preemption says that if higher priority process in terms of the criteria of selection comes, then we need to switch out the current process and bring the new process in. In shortest job first, it says that suppose any process P1 is in execution and that process is having burst time of 10 unit of time. After 1 unit of time, remaining time of this process becomes 9, but suddenly one process P2 arrives and P2 wants to execute for 5 unit of time. So 9 is greater than 5. So which process will get chance in preemptive version? That is P2 process will get chance for execution. In non-preemptive version, P1 will continue. So that is difference between preemptive and non-preemptive version. So we had picked. Apart from that, we had also picked that since shortest job first is dependent upon burst time and nobody knows actually the exact burst time which any process wants to run, hence what we require certain kind of prediction. So how to perform prediction, and on the basis of that prediction how to uh, schedule processes, that also we have completed. Then we had said that it's not necessary that smaller process in terms of burst time will always uh, is more important for execution. Hence, we moved into the priority scheduling. Priority says that provide external priority, and that will be either provided by system or the user, that this process is important, and on the basis of that priority processes will get executed. Here again we had picked the both version, that is preemptive and non-preemptive. The fundamental concept of preemptive and non-preemptive remain same, just like in shortest job first. Now we had picked that in priority, since we had given external priority, so overall my system will be efficient. But what about interactivity? That is the major concern. Interactivity means that suppose I want to make one time sharing system where I want to share time between processes, that okay, for 2 unit of time X process will get executed, then next 2 unit Y process will get executed, then next 2 unit Z process will get executed. Then can we achieve from these three algorithms? So the answer is no. Hence, we require another kind of algorithm, that is round robin. The primary concept of round robin is time sharing. So we also say that round robin is pure preemptive algorithm. It do not have any kind of concept of non-preemption. Why? Because it says that whenever processes will come on the basis of time, processes will be scheduled and fixed time quantum will be given to each and every process. Now, fixed time quantum means each and every process will be given a specific amount of time for execution into the CPU. That specific time is known as time quantum, or in some book you will find that is known as time slice. In shorter form, we write it TQ. So suppose TQ is 2. TQ is 2 means that each process will get chance for executing into the CPU for 2 unit of time. In 2 unit of time, either process will complete its task or it will be switched out from the CPU and new process will be inserted into the CPU for the execution for the next 2 unit of time. So this is the concept of time quantum. So let's try to pick with respect to one example that how to solve these kind of questions, how round robin works. So here I have taken one example. Now what we'll do once again, we'll try to solve all the algorithms one by one. So let's pick first of all FCFS. So first come first serve says that process which arrived first, that will execute it first. So let's start with 0, since 0 is the smallest arrival time. So P1 arrived, since P1 arrived at 0 and no other process arrived, so it will get executed up to 10 unit of time. Reason, first come first serve says that once you have picked any process, you need to complete that process first. So P1 got completed. After 10 unit of time, all processes are arrived. So which process arrived first? That is P2 process. So P2 process arrived. P2 process got executed up to 18 unit of time. Then P3 process. P3 process up to 24. And finally P4 process. P4 process up to 28. Now, this is the execution. Suppose I want to check that whether I have made the right chart or not. So there is one small way to check, that is end time is 28, start time is 0, so total time is 28. Now add this thing, 6 plus 4, that is 10, 10 plus 10, 20, 20 plus 8, 28. So total burst time will be equal to this time, which is 28. So in this way we have take that we have not made any statistical error here, although this do not cover any logical error that you have misplaced P2 here, or P3 you have used at the last due to certain wrong interpretation. it's simple statistical checking that it should end up to 28. So that is first come first serve. Now if I'll take shortest job first, I'm taking shortest job first preemptive version because non-preemptive is quite easy. So let's take, again it will start with 0. So P1 has started its execution. After 1 unit of time, what happened? P1 has executed 1, so it becomes 9. But suddenly at 1 unit of time, I got P2 process which wants to execute up to 8 unit of time. So what will happen? Since P2 is having burst time is lower than the P1, so P2 will get in and P1 will get out. So P2 will get executed for 1 unit of time. Once again, this becomes 7, and at 1 unit of time I got next process that is smaller than the previous running process. So P3 got chance 1. Finally P4 got chance. Now this is 5. Now we know that in our scenario, P4 is the smallest process, so P4 will complete its task. So from 3 up to 4, 4, 3, 7. So P4 has completed its task. After completion of P4, now which process should get chance? So 975, which process is having smaller burst time? That is P3 process. So P3 will get chance for execution up to 5. So this becomes 12. Then P2 will get chance for execution, and that is up to 7. So this becomes 19. And finally, P1 got chance for execution, and that is 9 unit of time. So this becomes 28. Once again check, ending point and starting point is same, 28 and 28, which will remain same for any algorithm you deploy, because statistically it should be 28 unit of time. So that is shortest job first preemptive algorithm. Now I'm assuming that we already covered how to calculate waiting time, so I am not going into waiting time of it. So let's move to the priority. Once again, preemptive priority. So let's try to pick what will be the chart for preemptive priority. So what are priorities here? Now here I am assuming that smaller number represent the higher priority. So which one is having the highest priority? That is P1 is having the highest priority. So at 0, P1 arrived and P1 got chance for execution. And how much amount of time P1 wants to run? P1 wants to run for 10 unit of time. Since it is having the highest priority, so no process has arrived which is having better priority than the P1, hence P1 will complete its task. After completion, all processes arrived here. Since all processes arrived, so which process is having the highest priority? That is P3. That is 2 units. So P3 will get chance, and that is up to 6 units to 16. Then which process? That is P4. P4 will get executed for 4 units, so it becomes 20. And finally, P2 will get chance for execution up to 28. Again, we got the 28. Now here, although we have used the priority, preemptive scheduling, but since first process which arrived is having highest priority, and once it got completed, in between all other processes got arrived, hence there is no impact of preemption in this particular algorithm. Now, what about round robin? So, how round robin works here? So, round robin works in the time quantum. So, let's assume here we had picked, let's assume that time quantum is 2 unit of time. Now, the thing is that how we can process this thing. What is the impact of time quantum? Can we have time quantum which is useful here? And what time quantum tells us? Now the time quantum tells us that what you can do, that is, each and every process will get executed only at max 2 unit of time. That is the concept of time quantum. Now, let's say, so how to design chart of it? Once again, it will start with 0. So which process arrived? That is P1 process. So we have started with P1 process. Now, at 2 unit of time, it will straight away, since time quantum is 2, what it will do? It will run for 2 unit of time. At second unit of time, P1 will check that what are the processes which arrived. So there are two processes, or to just make it simple, let's first of all solve this thing. Instead of this thing, what I'll do, let's make the arrival time 0 so that we can easily understand, and then we will move into this particular time. Otherwise, you will get confused. Now, at 2 unit of time, P1 got executed for 2 units. Since all processes are arrived at the same time, so P1, it was earlier 10 minus 2, so it becomes 8. Now, who will get chance? Which was the next one, that is P2 process. So P2 process got chance, that is up to 4. So P2, it was 8. Now it becomes 6. Now which process will get chance for execution? Then P3 will get chance for execution, that is 6. Then P4 will get chance for execution, 8. After completion of P4, which process will get chance for execution? That is P1. So in this way, this becomes P3. P3 was 6 minus 2, that is 4. P4 was 4 minus 2, that is 2. Now in next round, once these processes will get executed, P1 10, P2 12, P3 14, P4 16. So after the second round, this becomes 6, 4, 2, and 0. Since P4 got completed, so in third round, what are those processes which will complete? That is these three processes. So further, since we have completed up to 16, so I'm starting here. Uh, that is P1 up to 18, P2 up to 20, then P3 22. In this round, this becomes 4, 2 and 0. So only two processes are remaining, P1 24, P2 26. Next round this becomes 2, this becomes 0, and finally P1, that is 28. So once again, if you compare, we got the same thing, 28. So how to calculate waiting time in this? Now, what is this waiting time? So let's take one example to understand that how to calculate waiting time. Suppose uh, you want to purchase certain gift. You move to any shop. Once you reached at the shop, now the person has told you that, sir, at max you can visit the shop for 2 minutes in one go. After 2 minutes, you need to give time to other person, because in corona only one person can enter into the shop at a time. So what happened that you have waited for your chance, suppose for 4 minutes. Now 4 minutes you have waited for your first chance, then you have gone for checking the gift. After 2 minutes the person told you that, sir, please go out. And now you have waited again for, suppose, 8 minutes for your next chance. Now again you move out inside and you got 2 minutes for exploring. But this time also you didn't find your suitable gift, and the manager told you that your time is over. Please go outside and wait for your next chance. Then after you have waited again for 4 minutes, and then finally you got chance for 2 minutes again, and in these 2 minutes you have completed your gift. You have identified your gift, you have paid all the things, and you come back. So how much amount of time you have overall waited? That is 4 minutes at the start, 8 minutes at the mid, and then 4 minutes after one more time. So total 8 plus 8, that is 16 minutes you have totally waited. The same concept deploy here. If I take P1, P1 arrived at a 0 and immediately it got chance. Then after 2 units of time, it moved outside and it again got chance at 8. So 8 minus 2, 8 minus 2, that is 6. So first it has waited for 6 unit of time, and then after 2 unit it again got out and again got chance at 16. So 16 minus 10. So this becomes 16 minus 10, this becomes again 6. Now at 18 it again got out and got chance at 22. So waited for again 4 unit of time. Then at 14 it got out, sorry, at 24 it got out and again got in at 26. So plus 2 unit of time, and finally it got completed. So how much amount of time that particular process P1 has waited? And that is total number is 6 plus 6 plus 6, 18 unit of time. So P1 has waited for 18 unit of time. So in this way, we will calculate for all processes. Now, that is round robin in a simplest way. Now, what happened that once this arrival time comes, round robin becomes little bit complex. That was the main reason that why I have skipped this particular numbering. So in next lecture, I'll discuss that how round robin become little bit complex when arrival time is given. So in today's lecture, we have picked that how round robin works, what is time slice, how to design Gantt chart, how to calculate waiting time. So that is all for this lecture. Thank you.